Hello, hello, and welcome to NASCAR Inside the Race Kinda Live edition. So we are live. We're in Chicago, but the weather is here. Lightning in the area has kind of delayed our internet. So if you're watching this, we appreciate you tuning in a little bit later. I'm your normal host, Steve Letarte, with my co-host. That's right, co-host,
Nice.
Alex Weaver. You're going to see a lot of Alex. She's going to picking up the baton because we come from the racetrack. As you can imagine, I sometimes get a little tied up in the booth. Weaves, Chicago. I'm going to call it year three's the charm. All dry, start to finish. Wet now, but all dry for the race.
Chicago is one of my favorite cities. I love coming here. The only downside is that I have never seen an all dry race in Chicago
Yeah.
in the Cup Series. We finally got it today. And you know what? SVG just should have a key to the city at this point because he is the dominant driver in Chicago. But he gets out of the race car, kicks the rugby ball up into the stands, and it starts raining, thunder and lightning. Don't care. Race is done. Saw a dry race. Such a great weekend.
Yeah, different ingredients, same result
Yes.
is basically what I saw. There's a lot to break down. I'm going to give the quick list. We're going to talk SVG. We're going to talk whatever this Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace beef that continues. We're going to talk huge hit by the 51. That was the yellow that ended it. Was the timing right? Or my buddy Bozi's going to join. We're going to talk some pit road stuff. What am I missing? A bunch. Reddick's drive through with brand new tires, but I think we have to give our flowers to SVG. I'm gonna come second with my garage opinion. You kind of, I think, have a fan base perspective at times. Where do you think SVG ranks with his dominance currently at the road courses?
I don't even want to talk about his race car abilities first. I mean, he's the winningest driver born outside of the United States in Cup Series history. He's now officially past that.
Huh? Learn something new every day.
He is so popular with the fans, and he brings in the Australia and the New Zealand crowd that are getting passionate about NASCAR and the Cup Series as well. He's brought over other drivers from rally cars that have wanted to race. I just think he's so popular and so good for motorsports and really, really dominant on road courses. The one thing I will say is we've seen him win in Mexico City, brand new racetrack. Our drivers didn't know it. Chicago, he's dominated 5 of the 6 races if you include his Xfinity Series starts that he's had here. New track for our drivers. I'm interested to see in the coming seasons how dominant SVG can race at road courses that our drivers are used to seeing year after year. A test next week at Sonoma.
Well, Busher pushed back at Watkins Glen last year.
Love it.
And beat him at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
So Sonoma will be the next test.
Yep.
I want to get in my soapbox. Can I get in my soapbox for a minute?
Sure.
I know the fans are going to talk about should he or should he not be in the playoffs because of where he is on points. But I'm a little frustrated by the conversation moving forward so quickly.
Me too.
So in my entire career, I was fortunate enough to win 15 races. And I would do anything to kind of have a shot to win 16. Like the only memories I have, the most special memories of these trophies. And it's like the guys come over here in this dominating fashion, as your point, was now won, 3 Cup Series races. And it's, first of all, he's deserving to be in the playoffs. There's only 3 drivers that have won more races. I don't care. If we want to change the rules, that's fine. But the rules are what they are, and he's advanced through. But I'm like, can we let the guy just celebrate a trophy? Like, winning is so hard. So hard. Trust me. I know he makes it look easy, but let's not take it for granted.
When you were watching these races with SVG in the field, does he make our guys look like we're at Frankie's Fun Park riding around in go-karts? It just, from a viewer's perspective and as a fan watching the race, it looks like he is absolutely dominating.
So I got a perspective that's maybe unpopular. I think the fans deserve it because I feel now that if they watch all 36 Cup Series races, that they are watching the best stock car driver on every surface. And what I mean by that, if we go to Martinsville, I think our standard Cup drivers, they're the best ever.
Yeah.
And when we go to Talladega, we have some of the best drafters, maybe not to have ever, right? Dale Jr.'s not in the field on some of those, but of the current crop, they are the best. And maybe I gave our guys all this credit on the road courses, and I still think they're the best at Watkins, Atlanta, Sonoma, the place they've had. But as we bring these new venues on, like the street courses, I now believe, Ty Gibbs didn't win today, but he got beat by the best.
He did
at this circuit. Yeah. So I know that sounds crazy, but I think SVG has made the starting field of NASCAR drivers more elite. Because where are you going to go? I think he was the last version of something to come in and dominate or win because he's, quote, better than the full-timers. Now, he is a full-timer now, which I love. That's the other part I love. He doesn't just come in and out. He goes to every single oval, and he's like the most humble guy. He follows guys like, I don't know how they're doing it. I'm like, yeah, that's what they say about you here.
Every week. Yeah, he does.
So back to your point, I think that's the difference. Does he make our guys look bad? I don't think so. I think the credit is his excellence, not their weakness.
Okay.
And when we flip it, he was so good here, and when we go to an oval, he's not bad. I said this about Danica forever. Everybody want to have Danica conversations. I'm like, Danica is an excellent race car driver. She's driving against the best 25 stock car drivers in the world. Like, it's an elite group.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's the SVG thing. Like, where is he stack up? I don't know. But he's racing against the top, 35 on ovals. So, of course, it's tough.
Is he the best road course racer ever, or are we witnessing him become one of them?
He's the best street course racer ever.
Okay.
That's a great question. I don't know. Look, even as great as he is, I think that Gordon's runs, Stewart's runs, Chase Elliott's runs.
Allmendinger.
Yeah, the Dingers run. So we have seen this cycle of great drivers.
Yeah.
So look, I'm not ready to say he's the best ever because I think we've seen other drivers be this great at this style of racing, just not here in Chicago.
Well, you mentioned the 54 and the 88 battling. We had a ton of battles throughout this race.
Can we call them battles? I asked Dale Jr. in the booth, he called it a battle. And we've decided a few of them were battles, a few were wars, a few were bar fights.
A couple of them have been brewing for a long time. And I think we will continue to brew. I've heard some post-race comments from Joey Logano, who's mad at Ross Chastain. Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace apparently are just continuously mad at each other. That one keeps
Did we
popping up.
overlook this one? Like, I didn't know this was still fueling.
Apparently.
Man, elephants. Drivers are elephants. They don't forget.
I like them, though. We need more of those.
I'm great with it. I think it can all cross the line. I do. Like, I don't love certain situations or certain tracks, certain speeds. I think we take for granted what these guys are doing. But what I saw out there today, that's, it was a street brawl on a street course. I mean, they pushed and shoved, and it was great. It was fun to watch. It was fun to cover. There was just a lot that went down.
So let's grade it right now, and then we'll get into some of those battles and some of the talks. What was your grade on Chicago 2025?
So I believe when you come to a sports town, you have to bring a sports venue, and it's not just one of the greatest cities in the world. It's probably one of the top.
Yes.
My beloved Boston would be number one as greatest sports towns. Go ahead, you come at me. Boston, number one sports town in the world. But it's what makes Boston great is Chicago hates them, and LA hates them, and New York hates them, and that's the beauty of it. So when you come to the foot of Soldier Field, next to the Bean and Grant Park, you have to bring in, and I think NASCAR finally, Mother Nature allowed them to deliver. And I think we had everything I looked for. We had some strategy. Bozi and I are going to talk about that later. We had some excellence at the front of the field, and we just had some NASCAR, quintessential NASCAR. There's not another series in the world that can beat and bang and continue racing like these guys did today.
I also want to touch on with this crew chief, the racing surface, because when you are driving on city streets, it just tears up our stock cars. Chicago is a beast of its own.
I spill my coffee going up Lakeshore, the part that's open. I drive up Lakeshore, my coffee spills in the morning. I mean, it's rough.
It is a rough surface. So probably why we saw so many issues is turns are tricky. It's a technical race course. You're racing on city streets, which I think folks forget. This is not something that is paved over, controlled by NASCAR.
Yep.
It is their working people drive up and down these streets every single day that live here in Chicago. But let's get on another side of the crew chief, the one stop versus the two stop on pit road. What's your take?
Yeah, so that's what I loved about the stop. I'm going to get Bozi's opinion later because I think for me it was clear cut. This was a two-stop race. I didn't like the one-stop strategy, so you could either stop. All right, for the viewers who are watching, I think your option was to pit at 17 and 42.
Yep.
That's basically before the end of stage one, before the end of stage two. That was the call to me. Your math says you can make it on one stop, but you have to spend so much time putting fuel in the car that if there's a caution anywhere near you, you're going to get ate up on strategy. If you're going to have oldest tires on there. I just didn't like the one-stop strategy. I thought two stops was the answer. McDowell was the leading driver of the one stop, and I think it was a throttle cable is what they reported to us on our TNT coverage, ended him. And I will say, as we gave our flowers to SVG, I want to give my flowers to McDowell because he could give two craps what SVG, that he was the favorite. He drove off the front of the field and led basically the whole first stage. And I was internally be like, it was an impressive run for McDowell.
Break down that throttle issue though. You have
So
the
here's the
information.
problem. So that's a good question. So the throttle cable, it's really as simple like, your 10-speed bicycle, you grab the throttle or grab the brake and it pulls a cable that closes the brakes.
Yep.
It's the same idea. They press on a pedal and a mechanism pulls the throttle. It's kind of guided by wire, right? It pulls the throttle. So I don't know if it's frayed. At first, we saw Denny Hamlin at Martinsville last year have some rubber get up at the throttle body, and it hung and he wrecked in practice. I thought that's what it was, but this was actually a throttle cable. So you're talking I'm gonna call it $100 or $200 part has ruined a few $100,000 day for what could have been, the first win. Not the first win for Spire. They've technically won once in the Lightning but for this new wave of Spire Motorsports, it could have been one of their biggest wins.
So knowing how dominant we saw SVG and how dominant he was Saturday in the Xfinity Series, did Michael McDowell lose the race or did SVG win the race?
That's a great question. I think SVG won it. And I think that throttle cable robbed the fan of a battle that was going to be pretty epic. I'm going to give Ty Gibbs credit. He kept him honest. Allmendinger kept him honest. I wanted to see Reddick get through there on those fresh tires. That was going to be amazing.
Like he's reading my mind, folks. Tyler Reddick, first and foremost, I don't know, and I've said this for years. I knew Tyler Reddick in the Xfinity Series that was just a blossoming kid. He was, I'm going to call him nerdy.
He still is. If you see his hair, I'm not a mullet fan. I'm sorry, Tyler. Not a mullet fan, man. You got to trim it up a little bit.
It's a redheaded mullet, which makes it okay.
It's a lot.
No, but he walks out on stage. He's in Chicago, which his team owner Michael Jordan ruled the city, still does. And he walks out in an Air Jordan fire suit.
Yeah.
Gets in his Jordan car. He showed glimpses of the speed. He drives to the front, obviously runs out of time there at the end of the race. What'd you make of Tyler Reddick, and if he would have had any more laps?
It was Tyler Reddick 2.0. I mean, remember last year he had slicks running down Bowman, hit the fence late.
Yep.
I don't put this one on Reddick. I actually give Billy Scott the credit. I'm pitting from that situation I thought was like a death sentence. I'm like, he's going to the back. He's going to get caught up in everything we saw happen. And I was wrong. It was just an amazing drive. I wanted, dare I say, yellow at the end. There was a chance to have one. Just because the new tires were so much faster. Now, what I don't know is, was SVG driving just hard enough to win? Did he have some left? Great race car drivers do that. But Reddick, I have to give Jamie McMurray the credit, actually. We were in our production meeting earlier today, and he said, I think Reddick is the driver that can beat SVG. And I hate giving McMurray or Parker any sort of credit. But Jamie was right. He was one of the drivers that had a chance.
Cautions versus no cautions. We saw some cautions be thrown. Some it was what can drivers do? How can they turn it around?
Yeah.
I want you to break down as a crew chief NASCAR's decisions.
Let's start with the 21. So the 21 spun in turn 7. Got spun. Hit the wall. Kind of got turned the right direction. I said it on air, and I'm not going to change my opinion now. I feel like that should have been basically an instant yellow. I think his wall contact was severe enough. The barrier moved a little bit. I think that's a yellow. I think it's a yellow every time it happens. I understand cars spin here, but this car hit very, very hard. I would have preferred to see that a yellow right away. It ended up being a strategy option. The only thing that kind of made it okay was NASCAR left it where the whole field came by pit road. So if you wanted to jump on pit road before the yellow came out, you had the opportunity. Yep. So I thought that was a little bit of a Band-Aid to what I didn't love for a call. And I also want to go on record and say, look, refereeing, calling a race, it's the easiest thing in the world to pick on because it happens in fast forward. So I thought that should have been an instant yellow. Now, I am on the opposite side of the 51 wreck. Now, I will say, in hindsight, I've seen the in-car, and I'm hoping we're showing you.
Yeah, can we toss that up? Because it was a
I have to tell you, this wreck is unbelievable. I think it was a brake failures, what I read online, underneath the barriers. But let's remember, we had Kyle Busch, Noah Gragson, like 27 times, hit this set of barriers, and they kept going. So I feel like NASCAR saw the wreck. I would have been okay with an instant yellow. That wouldn't have bothered me. I am not bothered by what they did. What they did, in my opinion, was we had just had to start like 8 or 9 laps ago, so the field was pretty condensed. He runs into the barrier at turn 6. I have this thing called Dancing Ants. So you see the map behind us. What I have is a map like this in the booth, and every car is just a little circle. And the Dancing Ants move together. So he wrecks right here in turn 6. All the ants are here. There's no more cars coming. So he's in no extra danger.
Yep.
So they let it be green to see if he can move or not move. I haven't seen replays to know if the tires were spinning or turning. I'm going to give NASCAR credit. Maybe all that was happening. Eventually, leaders kind of get back over to the 3-4 section. They cannot let them race through there. I don't care how popular or unpopular. NASCAR's job is not popularity. NASCAR's job is they owe it to the driver who's stuck in the barrier that you have to. So the yellow came out. So I'm not as frustrated as some. Parker was very frustrated. He has every right to have his opinion. I was a little more Team McMurray in this situation. I would have been okay with a yellow. I was okay with a no yellow. I think that was just and I will say, I don't think it matters who's leading in the gap or whatever. I think it's truly just a safety decision.
And I think you just touched on it right there. A lot of folks forget that NASCAR's ultimate priority is the safety of the drivers on the racetrack. Of course, we want an entertaining race. We, of all people, want an energy finish.
Too. So I just called this race, and I had to do it in a trailer in the TV compound with a bunch of monitors because you can't see the entire course. We talk about the challenge for the spotters.
Sure.
That same challenge exists for officials. So I'm not giving anyone a free pass. It's their obligation as NASCAR to see the track. But, we're here doing something remote. It becomes a little bit more clunky. It is real. It's not an excuse. It's fact. Like, they're somewhere in a trailer trying to do it off monitors as well. So it becomes, it's not Bristol. Sit in the tower. It's all at your feet. Martinsville's
everything in Bristol.
Yeah, even the Roval, mind you, it's kind of all at your feet.
Yes, yeah. Let's get into some drama because we're here in the streets of Chicago, and there's just straight drama on the streets. I want to first start with lap 4. I didn't know how this race was going to go. And then we get a massive pileup. It starts with Carson Hocevar, who was running as close as he could turn 9. He makes pretty heavy contact on turn 10, spins around and just collects a bunch of cars, knocks out Kez, knocks out Todd Gilliland. I mean, the list goes on.
My daughter was crushed. The Grillo pickle car fell out.
Me too.
That's the only thing. My wife's family was in. Yeah, she was like, I just want a picture with the Grillo car. She thinks Grillos are. I have never had a Grillo. Apparently, it's.
Oh, I'll get you some.
It's just magical. I'm not a pickle person. Can't do it.
They have pickled grapes, pickled carrots.
No, you've lost me.
No.
So that right. So look, Carson Hocevar.
Austin Dillon is still mad at Carson Hocevar, which is our first matchup.
Is he mad from there?
Carson Hocevar and Austin Dillon. He is. The radio, he said he was, and I'm not going to use the exact word, it was an explicit word. He is the most explicit word driver in the field.
Okay, so
biggest dumbass
I'm glad
in the entire sport.
Opinion. But, Stenhouse, who gets wrecked by Hocevar, I think is a different thing. That Hocevar wrecked itself. Rarely, so I talk a lot about, I call him Mr. Excitement, because he does a lot of things. Just truly negative, like it was just a mistake. He got drivers right too far. I think he got on the shock stops. Bozi and I are going to talk about that as well through that Congress Plaza. He kind of bounced on the rear stops, hit that wall, pushed him left. Big hit. And then you just saw him pile in. Funny enough, that's the same straightaway we had the big stack up last year. So I think that's the blueprint for the stack ups. I don't think there's a lot of vision. And when we went to the in-car in our TNT sports broadcast, you know why. Like, you come out of 9, you're tipped this way, and you kind of dart into 10. You're like, oh.
It's a hard
they
barrel.
are.
And a hard spot for spotters.
It did. And then I will say, though, that was the Hocevar, like the Reddit Hocevar matchup ended quick. So it ended Brad's day. Right? He was saying.
Yep.
And Hocevar's day.
All right. So Austin Dillon, Carson Hocevar are not going to go to a winery together in Sonoma.
I didn't know Austin was mad.
I don't know if he still is, but he was fired up on the radio.
Maybe he's mad his brother keeps advancing. Because old Ty slid right through.
For Ty Dillon, he gets the
only negative, I'm thankful for Ty. I'm happy for Colleague. The only negative is I have to hear Mamba for a whole nother week.
That's all right.
I know. I'll let him have it.
Win the war, not the battle.
That's right. Okay.
Another battle that is looking like it might be 100 years war is Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman.
I thought they were kidding pre-race.
No.
So pre-race, was it Marty that talked to him? Marty's. And they were like, I couldn't see it because I was down on pit road with Dale Jr. going to do a hit in the pre-race, but I heard it. And I heard, like, we had lunch and everything was fine. No, it's not fine. I owe him one. And I was like, oh, they're playing up this matchup. Apparently, there's some beef. Like, it got a little heated at one point.
Who has to call the like? Do you just let it go? Are we having conversations going?
So I'll be honest. There was so much. I don't know where it started.
Me either. And
I'm not going to lie to fans and say, oh, this is what happened. Who hit who and who this. And now I saw them all hit each other. And at one point, Bowman must have thought he was in the wrong because they rolled into turn 2 and he gave the 23 the lane. I would tell you that probably neither of them are going to call each other. And this is where either Charles Denike or Bowman's crew chief they need to call each other and be like, hey, it's okay that this all happened. We don't have to like it, but we don't need to go to Sonoma and wreck each other again because they are both quickly becoming stressed about the playoffs. So, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes heading to Sonoma.
Yeah, not a 100% successful day for Alex Bowman.
So in the end, they were head-to-head, though. So who advanced? I didn't see.
Alex Bowman did because Bubba was on pit road with a broken left toe link after the damage with Alex Bowman. So Alex Bowman advances.
So I just want to.
The most Alex Bowman, we talked about this. The most Alex Bowman thing will be he's going to win the $1 million.
There's no he's going to win $1 million running like. I'm not going to say he's not going to be good at Indy, but he'll run like 11th to win $1 million. So I worked for TNT Sports. I'm in their booth. It was their idea to have this in-season challenge. I thought it was a cool idea, but I was a little worried how the drivers were going to take it.
Yeah.
Because in the garage, I had such tunnel vision. I don't know if I would have had the ability to care about a tournament. Like I was just trying to win every race. But I'm going to say I was wrong. Priest and Noah had an amazing exchange over the week on social media.
So funny.
And these drivers are leaning into it. And we hear a lot of radios about like, that was your in-season challenge guy that just wrecked.
Noah and Chase Briscoe in last week's matchup had some funny back and forth and some banters. So much so to where Noah was telling Chase he can't afford to go to Turkey and get a hair transplant now. I mean, it was like really.
Hey man, I got that's a little hanging up here. I don't like air jokes. They hit a little close to home.
Funny banter. Yeah, no, but I think it took the drivers getting to this point in the season. It's a long season.
I want your opinion on that. Is it that?
I think
Is it that we have the summer doldrums are real because it's a grind. Like, listen, folks, it's a grind. It's the best job in the world.
It is.
But it is exhaustingly emotional.
Yes.
Well, you think this is kind of like a new...
I think it's energized them a little bit. I think they realize that they can have some fun with it. They're going after $1 million. I don't know who doesn't want to win $1 million. If you don't, you're lying.
And I'd trip you on the walk out of here for 10.
I would trip you for the interest of $1 million. But I think, and I'm going to lean on you a little bit, interviewing these drivers and interviewing these teams, the number one phrase I think I get is, oh, well, we're not focused on Sonoma because we're here in Chicago this week. Like we're just trying to go one race at a time.
Yeah.
So I think for the drivers and for the teams, until we got to the bracket portion of the season, it just wasn't top of brain.
And I think nobody wanted to talk about it until they got out of Atlanta because I don't see Atlanta, you have the ability to focus on another driver.
Yep.
Chicago, you can kind of see where they're running and all the different things.
All right, last thing before you bring Bozi on here. Chastain.
I'm a little worried about what Bozi's going to ask me because this race was a bit of a blur, so I'm going to have to make sure I get my notes. I got my iPad here, I got my notes together.
The last drama battle we saw was Ross Chastain, Joey Logano there at the end. Ross admitted on the radio that he wrecked the 22. Joey said he should be fined because he admitted it on the radio that he wrecked him. What'd you say?
I hate to agree with Joey, but there's a real argument there, I guess. We've seen that in the past. Man, I'm glad I'm not an official. That'd be an awful job this week. So, first of all, the bounce off the barrier in turn 1 by Chastain is like the coolest bumper car thing I've seen in a while. And I would say I got my NASCAR Insights folks do rankings of all these different things. And when you look at defensive drivers, 1 and 2 is Logano and Chastain. So, not that it makes it better. And I don't have a problem. This isn't me judging. But they are very, very much cut from the same cloth.
Yes.
As far as...
Same mindset.
They are the same mindset. So when stubborn gets with stubborn, we are all going to basically prosper in those situations. I would say that you asked who was going to call who before. if I'm Chastain, I'm calling Joey Logano this week, taking my butt chewing, and even if you get turned around at Sonoma, I just think that Ross and Trackhouse are building stuff, and I think you don't want a guy like Joey Logano as an enemy. It's just unnecessary. So.
And the same mindset when it comes to putting the helmet on, taking the helmet off. If you were to have Joey Logano and Ross Chastain in this room right now, they're the nicest guys.
They are.
They laugh. They cut jokes. They are just so personable, treat everybody in the room with respect, and then they put on a helmet, and gloves are off.
It is. It was crazy. All right, we're going to have you back. How
Okay.
did co-host do so far? I mean, you did all the hosting. This is amazing. I like this. This is really, really nice. I'm going to bring Bozi in. I know he's prepped. He's got a lot of technical stuff. So next up, we're going to have Bozi. Now it's kind of that technical section. My man Todd Gordon is not here today, but my man Bozi is. Bozi can be found on all the socials.
Yeah, if you search for Bozi, you can find me just about anywhere.
All right. For those of you who don't know Bozi, he is a pit crew member in the IMSA world, so he knows a lot about racing. He writes for a lot of periodicals, does an amazing job in the technical side of NASCAR. So I'm going to invite you in. I know you're prepped. You got a lot of homework. Alex and I talked about it earlier. Let's talk strategy. I gave you my thought. I think 2 stops has less potential issues. I would have been a 2-stop guy. You liked the one, so please, to the fans, let's say make your argument.
I like the 1 stop. I know that the math is probably going to go to your side, but I like the 1 stop. I like the opportunity to take a risk and the opportunity to try something different. Because we see so much conversation about the tires are like this, we need to do this, they need to change the compounds, whatever else. But here, nothing has to be done to the car, to the tires. It's up to the crew chiefs, up to the engineers. Hey, we have an opportunity to try something here. And Priest tried it, and they finished in the top 10.
Agreed.
And it's,
So I think 1 works to run good.
Yes.
I don't think 1 can win.
You're probably right there.
I just think, I think even SVG couldn't win on 1.
Yep. You're probably right there. While you and Alex were talking, I ran the numbers, and I got Priest up here. He's way off at the end. So
So he's looking at lap times right here.
Yep.
So we don't know because the dang thing has had rain every year.
Yep.
Good tire, great tire.
Yep.
Like it slipped. I was like, "There's no fall off. There's no fall off." And then all of a sudden, Reddick was like, "Holy smokes, there's fall off!" Because here comes Reddick, and it's unbelievable. I jumped up at one point. Dale was pissed. I leaned in front of him in the booth. Was tapping the lap time, and he was like trying to push me out of the way to get to the program monitor because Reddick was coming. Now, I don't know if it was enough, but I wanted to see the battle between it and SVG.
That's the thing. We got this line down here. He's way, way below SVG. In the last run, SVG was in the mid to high 92s. Reddick ran
fast lap of the race.
Yeah.
Here's your time. Go ahead.
Put it up.
Xfinity fast lap of the race coming lap 71. I don't even have to look at my notes. I remember it. Crystal clear. It was 4 to go. It was basically a 90 flat.
Yeah, it was like 90.09, somewhere in that range. It was ridiculously fast. It was 2.5 seconds faster than what SVG was running in the moment. It was wild.
It was so good.
If he had, I would say, maybe a handful more laps, we could have seen.
So that puts Reddick on the 3-stop then, right? Because he stopped the 3rd time.
Yep. So that is where I wanted to go. Is when we walked into this room, I was like, the 1-stop looks cool, but then I started running the math, and I'm like, I want to go all the way to the other side and the 3-stop, but you have to do it early enough to have time to make it.
That's right.
Get to that point.
That's right. I could see that. Pit road, we saw what I call our stand-up penalties. Kyle Busch drove through too many pit boxes. That always happens to somebody. Driver on the wrong side, you're allowed 3 boxes in, 3 boxes out. I think it's really easy to lose the right front and go through too many. We had Bell speeding, which was unfortunate for Bell. The big topic, and I want to make this a pit crew highlight. So SVG goes to victory lane. Pocono, I had that right?
Yep.
Pocono. Contact with the tire, 48 pounds. I got the exact weight from a crew chief today, so I'm going to trust Ryan Sparks Aspire, who gave me that weight. Tire gets launched, hits this pit crew member, and I'm no doctor. Collapsed lungs, some rib injuries. That's not the point. The point is severe injuries. Give us the backstory.
So JP Keeley got hip, rib, lung injuries. I've played sports. I played hockey, college, so I've seen some of the stuff like that. And for me, the usual recovery time is 5 or 6 weeks where you're kind of feeling all right, but you're still hurting if you're playing something athletic. But last week, I wanted to build a whole thing for the last show of like, yeah, we might see JP back for the playoffs, and it would be a big deal, especially with this race. And then a day after that, I hear JP's back in North Carolina. He's practicing. So today before the race, I walk over there. I'm like, how are you, dude? And he was just like, yeah, I'm fine. Just like nothing happened. And his other guys are just like, he's ridiculous because pit stop practice every week, whole week, rehab, all this other stuff. And just to see that turnaround in literally 2 weeks of having such a significant injury, and you are correct on the tire, Sparks is definitely to be trusted. I've weighed them myself, 48.1, 48.3, the two I've weighed in the past. So right on.
So a 50-pound tire coming at 20, 30, 40 miles an hour hitting you in the chest will hurt your ribs and your lung. That's what we've learned. But the recovery, amazing.
Yeah, just ridiculous. And that's big credit, obviously, to Trackhouse's pit crew department, that they have the resources. That's the big thing with top-level pit crew departments now, is they have partnerships with all these physical rehab organizations. So they help them there.
Right.
But he still had to drive himself back from Pennsylvania. So he was in a hospital in Pennsylvania, and the doctors wouldn't approve him to fly because of the lung. So he had to drive himself back from Pennsylvania to get to train, and then this week he was approved to fly up here, flew up here, no issues, and then ran through the race. And after the race,
still changes rears. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yep,
Still changing rears because I know people swap. So he's still in the rear of the 88 car.
Correct. Yeah. And that's a good point too, is that we had a lot of those changes here where some teams swap changes around because they flipped the car and there's other stuff there. But he was on the rear here, and I saw him after the race, and it was just an incredible moment seeing him stand there on the wall with SVG in front of him on top of the car. And, he pulled out his phone. He's soaking in the moment. He pulled out his phone to get a video. And then you hear the cheers.
Good for him.
He hops off the wall. Just JP Keeley, just the dude is incredible. It's just like, I think he's going to go far. Pro lacrosse guy. So he's ridiculous.
So I'm going to stick down the pit crew world real quick. And it's going to be a long-winded story. But Catherine Legg, there was a moment yesterday where Corey Hine, who is going to have an amazing career, this kid can push the pedals. He gets in the wall, had some damage, couldn't run the lap that I think he was capable of running. First of all, Josh Balicki put a lap up big enough to put Corey Heim at the bottom. Next group out, which goes all the way back to BJ McLeod running well enough in Atlanta, put Catherine Legg in the second group. Like, there's a lot that goes into this story, right? BJ runs well enough at Atlanta to put Catherine in the second group. Catherine goes out there and eliminates Corey Heim from the race. I will tell you, I know there's businesses and all this, but I love having 41 cars.
Sure.
And I hate for the person that goes home, but it makes Saturday qualifying amazing. Catherine Legg eliminates him, makes a show, then runs 19th today. And you were telling me you had a great story in the pit crew. That is beginner's the wrong word. How would you describe it?
It's a development pit crew for Hendrick, but it's kind of
early developed.
Okay. So Hendrick has their house crews that are on their primary cars. Then they have the guys that are almost there that you're released out to Spire and Hayek. And then they have a couple of other crews that train. They might do a truck or Xfinity race here or there, but they don't get a lot of cup experience. And these guys are fresh. So from what I understand, the crew that was on the 78 today, they did the Algar car, and they might have done 1 or 2 races with BJ. So pretty new. And it's incredible that they had the opportunity to be put in that situation and to perform. And there's, Hendrick and a lot of other teams are out here hunting professional athletes, college athletes. And one of the notable ones that I met recently is Al Blades Jr. He played safety at University of Miami. He was at the New York Jets for a while. That obviously didn't work out. So Hendrick, as they do, scouted him, got him on. He's been there, I think, only since last winter. So Daytona was a trial by fire with Algar, which they did really well there. And now he's here with this kind of Cinderella story to get Legg into the top 20 as part of their performance.
It was impressive. All right, that's the pit crew update. I haven't got your thoughts. I know you're Mr. Technical. Let's just get bigger. You are on IMSA teams. You see global events all the time. Give me your nickel version of Chicago. What did you think of the weekend here as an observer?
I think it was an incredible experience. I am a huge fan of street course races. I've had the opportunity to participate in a few, won a few, finished on the podium in a few. So that's always held a special place for me. But getting engrossed in the environment, I think, is incredible. And I had an opportunity to speak with some people from the Chicago Bulls organization, show them around pit lane, talked about some of the...
Yeah, Big Will Purdue. I saw him. He was down there earlier. He's a big Bulls guy. I'm big, as in out 7 something. I saw him down there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of people from that organization, and we talked about pit stops and some of these things. And one of the things that really resonated with me is how much they enjoy having NASCAR here, and how much everybody that I talked to in town, no matter where I interacted, whether it was at the coffee shop or just going out, is people talking about the race that you wouldn't expect to be talking about the race. So for me, I think that was pretty significant and shows just how much of a success it is to have this in a city. And selfishly, I'm used to being a pit crew guy that, gets on a plane, gets in a van. Sometimes you have to drive 30, 40 minutes to some town where the racetrack is, and you can go, to a local, maybe chain restaurant or whatever. It's so cool to walk out of a hotel, go get some local food. And I saw a lot of the pit crew guys I talked to, they flew in yesterday, so they had some free time. So they went to Wrigley Field. Some of the guys went to a museum. All these activities. It's like, it's great.
Well, Dale Jr. and I and Adam, we stayed within walking distance of the track. We got up every morning, we got our coffee, and we literally walked through the park to the park. There's a couple parks adjacent too. We ran into a few fans. My daughter actually goes to college near here, so she was the tour guide for all my friends that wanted to see around Chicago. So it was really cool. It was pretty cool being here. All right, we talked pit crews. What else you got on your list that I haven't talked about?
Bracket challenge. My big
thing. Holy smokes! Let me get my bracket challenge. And it's not good.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and we have more things that flew out. And I think for me, the first thing I want to talk about is Nemechek versus Elliott.
I don't want to talk about it because Elliott was my guy and he got eliminated.
Yeah.
Nemechek and Elliott came down to the last one position. Right?
Yep. And I think that we talked about Legacy a little bit last week about their improvements. And I spent some time with John Hunter this weekend, just doing the track walking around. And just kind of got caught up because they've had a bunch of changes this year. Obviously at the top with Campy and some of these guys coming in. But one cool thing I learned is that they've promoted Sydney Prince. So she's a very young engineer. She's 25 years old. I think she might be one of the only women that was engineering a car on pit lane today. So she grew up racing sprint cars, went to UNCC, mechanical engineering, was on Raja Karu's truck back when he was in GMS, then did some part-time races with Jimmy when he ran the 84. Yep. And this year she got promoted to be the engineer for the 42. And that was one of the things that John Hunter pointed out.
And I'm a big Travis Mack fan.
Yeah.
Who's the crew chief on the 42. So I love this whole story in general.
That's the other piece is John Hunter mentioned that him and Travis Mack, specific to this car, he said the Xfinity car, he's worked well with Ben, some of these other guys, but specific to this car, something just clicked. And then they brought Sydney into the fold.
Right.
And he told me that he just feels like things are clicking and flowing together. And, all of that combined with their pit crew improvements, it's like you can see the progression there. The only hiccup, which might not be a hiccup, is the person he's going up against now is Eric. So
yeah. So real quick, I'm going to run through them. And for you guys listening or watching, remember each week we're going to once again have the NASCAR Inside the Race bracket show where we're going to break down the head-to-head matchups, but just because it is post-race. Dylan Kozlowski Rex, Dylan advanced. Bowman and Wallace got into a drunken bar fight over 9 laps, which put Wallace on pit road and Bowman advanced. Nemechek and Elliott was like a one-position Nemechek advance. Jones and Stenhouse. Stenhouse had it. Jones was a lap down. He gets in the wreck, tears the right front off, eliminates Stenhouse. So far, that's my left side of the bracket. Right side, Gregson and Priest. Priest, actually, I might have had the cleanest race. Great race. Hocevar got eliminated with the wreck, but put Reddick advancing. Allmendinger and Gibbs was everything we hoped it would be, right at the front of the field.
Yep.
Gibbs advances. And then Smith and Busher. Yeah, that's right, Dale. I hope you're watching this. Dale Jr. I wasn't rooting against Busher, but I was rooting against Dale Jr. And Zane Smith outran Chris Busher.
But I do want to say, kind of honorable mention there, that Busher's crew swapped an ECU mid-race, and he still made it back to have a decent finish. I think it was only like 3 or 4 spots away from getting to Zane Smith.
Crew Chief Dale Jr. said they should have took tires once, and I have to agree with him. I think I would have given Busher a chance to battle his way up. All right, I love it. The in-season challenge, the pit crew stuff is very, very good. Bozi, appreciate the time as always.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'm thinking Alex might have some questions. We'll bring her back in, and we'll have more conversation. Back again at Chicago Speedway in the streets of Grant Park, back in the Sunoco content station. Appreciate the setting. It's amazing. Weaves, you got any questions? I saw you over there scrolling on your phone when I was talking to Bozi.
I got some fan questions, but I know you guys broke down the bracket. Let's now take a look at, that's $1 million for the summer challenge. But we still have a playoff battle. There's still drivers that are trying to win a championship at the end of the year. So I want to break down the playoff bubble with you, how it looks now post-Chicago. So the bubble right now is in the 15th position is Chris Busher of the 17, 35 points above the elimination line. Then it's Bubba Wallace right there above the elimination line in the 16th position. Only 2 points to the good, though. On the flip side, below the line, 60 of Ryan Preece is 2 points below that line. AJ Allmendinger in the 16 is 43 points below the line. We have basically 4 drivers above the line that have not gotten a win on the season to advance in. There is 4 spots.
Reddick
available.
should feel good. He's what? Plus
143.
Okay, but who's right behind Reddick?
Alex Bowman at 39.
That's a problem.
Chris Buescher at 35.
Still a problem. All these guys are in problem, and here's why. I don't think we're going to get 3 winners, but let's just move the cut. Let's just keep moving the cut line, right?
Sure.
If Reddick's in,
Yep.
I'm going to say we get 1 more new winner, just maybe 2, but let's just say 1. They're all right on top of each other in points. If that winner comes from below, which I think it can and will, I think your mindset needs to be win. I think anyone other than Reddick has got to think that it's going to take a win. It's not gonna, but you have to be racing like it's going to take a win to advance.
All right. How about these drivers below the cut line? Let's look at Ryan Preece, AJ Allmendinger, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Ty Gibbs, John Hunter Nemechek. Any of those guys shocking the world? And
so
winning?
John Hunter Nemechek is being very consistent. I like them moving forward. I think the playoffs is a tall task. I think that's a great target for next year as legacy continues to improve.
Sure.
Ty Gibbs, I think missing the playoffs will be a disappointment out of a driver that now has over 100 starts, but I do think he's going to win. It's just, will the win come before the playoffs starts? So he wouldn't shock me.
66 points below the line.
Yeah, so it's
for
a
Ty
must
Gibbs.
win.
Yep.
Allmendinger, look, I've been hard on Collins over the years. I couldn't be more impressed with what they've done this year. They've continued to improve week in and week out. Dinger here had a chance. Look, I don't think it has to be a road course. It'd be a little bit of a shocking win anywhere else. He could do it at Daytona. Same thing, must win.
Okay. All right. Well, there's your playoff bubble. Because
Sorry,
we're
you
gonna be
better
talking
win.
about
I'll
that.
give you a little hint. You better win.
Just win a race and you're into the playoffs and it won't matter. You can race for a championship. Okay, so I did put out a call to fans. I wanted a call to action about asking some questions because obviously with the internet issues, we're having a little bit of trouble being live to be able to talk to you guys
It's
directly.
called live to tape. Does that have any debates?
Live. We're live.
Yeah.
So the number one question I got about is drivers will say this track is one of the hardest that we see all season long. Break that down. The race fans want to know why.
So I think it is, there's a million reasons, but I'm going to make it as simple as this. First of all, it's unnatural. So let's talk about ovals. The toughest ovals are the run with you have no window for mistakes. Dover, inside, outside wall, Bristol, So that's where they're the toughest. Then you come here, 12 corners, it's high speed, the surface is very, very rough, and then there is just no window for error. That is the big thing for me, right? It's very simply, we've all driven down the interstate.
Yeah.
It's pretty relaxing. You set your cruise, everything's good. And then you come to a construction zone, even though you slow down, as you should, to the 55 miles an hour, when that Jersey barrier comes up close and you have a tractor trailer next to you right here, there's more than enough room for your car, but you get sweaty palmed because you're like, there's just no room. Okay, well, that's what it's like for 75 miles. I mean, there's no error. Half of the wrecks we saw today at Sonoma, you spin around, you come and get tires, and you keep going. Here you don't. There is a penalty for every mistake. It is intense. It is a great test. And I think, so I couldn't be a bigger fan of variety. I love Atlanta. I don't need another one. I love here. I'll be honest, I don't even need a second street court. Like, I am a big fan of, I want to see these drivers go from Talladega to Martinsville, Chicago to Bristol, and everything in between. I think we're getting this magical mix of variety, but Briscoe said it himself. He said he thought qualifying here was one of the most intense qualifying, if not the most intense lap he had to run all year.
It was also, and I've been in New York City in the summer. It was the hottest day I have had in a city yesterday for the qualifying and practice.
Tiny.
It was brutal. So the fact that those drivers had to take on this street course in that heat and also deal with the technicality of the street course, I mean, they're the best athletes.
So, you want an analogy? Here's real simple. Just take an egg and go run a mile. See if you can protect your egg for the whole mile. You don't get sweaty hands. You don't drop it. You don't squeeze.
Eggs are expensive. Don't
like,
take an egg.
Like I'm telling you, like these guys are on the edge of control. Not on the edge of control. That's wrong. To be good, you are 6 to 10 inches away from ending your day.
Eggs are $10 a dozen. So take a marshmallow. Take something that's a little.
Run with a margarita. See if you spill it.
There you go. After you've had margaritas, and then see if you spill it. All right, and then the final question. We're gonna end this one on just kind of a funny note because I thought you'd have some fun with this. They wanted to know how Dale Jr. would have done on this street course.
He would not have enjoyed it. He would have hated it because he would have downplayed his skill set. But I actually think he would have been very, very good because he's a repetition style driver. I don't think he ever would have showed up as raw speed, and nobody would have talked about him on like, oh, Dale Jr. is one of the favorites, or he's got tons of speed, because he doesn't love that at Sonoma as well. But I think his ability to consistently drive a car to a comfortable 95% is way underrated skill set. So I think he's one of those drivers that at the end of the day, you'll be like, I didn't talk about a one-timer, he ran 7th. I just think he could do that. I think he has a very survivable race car driver factor. So he would have been okay there. But back to the 1-2 stop strategy, would have been like a 4 or 5 stop strategy. Would have kept putting tires on every chance we had, kept them on offense, and had a great time.
Hey, it might have worked. You never know.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Well, Chicago, I'm going to give my opinion. People may not care, but I'm giving it anyways. I love the city. I love the diversity in the city. I spoke to a lot of folks throughout the weekend. Bozi mentioned it. Coffee shops, restaurants, you're walking around the city. First time folks out at a racetrack that had never been to a NASCAR race before. So good for the sport. It's been a pleasure. Whether this is our last year at Chicago or not.
So you know what it did for me? So first of all, I'm going to weigh in on that, right? So everybody knows it's pretty public. It was a 3-year contract or whatever. I'm okay if we come back, and I'm okay if we don't. Not because I have a problem with this, but I give my vacation analogy, and I know you've experienced this, right? You're like, man, I don't want to go home. I need one more day. But when you stay one more day, like, it's been too long. We should have went home yesterday.
You have to know when to leave.
Yeah, so I do think that this is great. And just because we leave doesn't mean we won't come back. You could take a break. And I think that what this did for me more than anything is a lot what the Coliseum did. It's proof of concept.
We can take it
We
anywhere.
as the industry have taken our show on the road.
Agreed.
And we have some of the most amazing venues we go. And the fans that come to Pocono and Michigan and New Hampshire, and they're supportive, and we love them. But there are big chunks of this country that you have to go a long ways to see a NASCAR race.
Yep.
And I think it's our obligation as a series to find those big chunks of people and go to them. And I thought that's what this proved, is we can do it.
30 countries here represented, 49 states. Economic boom was millions and millions of dollars to the city of Chicago every weekend we were here. So kudos to NASCAR, kudos to the city of Chicago. It's been a pleasure.
I loved it. I like this co-hosting situation. It's way less stressful for me. I'm off next
I told you we had to wear the blazer.
Oh, yeah, I had to dress up. I'm off. I'm not working Sonoma. I'm working the race, but I'm not working the post-race show. But I will be back this week for the bracket show. People seem to love our SVG track map. So hit us up on social if there's other random content that you would like. I think we're going to try to continue to just educate the fans. You guys have been so much fun. It's been great. It is. It's just a lot of fun. You can tune in every week. We're going to be live on YouTube. Our podcast is available. This will be posted as a podcast.
Red or white wine?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a red gal.
Depending on the weather.
Oh.
I'm pretty easy.
Apparently the thing is to put jalapenos in your Sauvignon Blanc.
Really?
Yes.
I'll put an ice cube of Chardonnay. You can judge me. It's okay.
I put ice cubes in rosé. You can also judge me too.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Weaves, co-hosting. Well done.
Nice. I loved
Weaves
it.
on her own, so send her all the questions for next week. I'll be back the week after that. This has been another NASCAR Inside the Race semi-live from the Sunoco Content Exhibit Trailer
Pod.
See, I almost had it. From the Sunoco Content Pod inside the Chicago Street Course in the Miller Grant Park in one of the greatest cities in the world, live from Chicago. We appreciate you tuning in. As always, rate, review, subscribe, and look for more NASCAR Inside the Race content each and every week.